Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So the governor of New Mexico has unilaterally violated the state's constitution and the United States, her state's constitution, New Mexico, and the United States Constitution, and just canceling the right of citizens for concealed carry and open carry in the state. How does she justify this abridgment of the rights of the citizens? Oh, she declared a public health emergency and suspending the rights, just ever so briefly so we can get the situation under control. That situation is, yes, some gun homicide, not by law-abiding Albuquerque, suspending the rights to open carry and concealed carry in and around the environs of Albuquerque, New Mexico. She's just going to suspend it to send a message. She readily acknowledges, shit rat criminals, no, they're just going to continue to do what they always do, which means drive-by shootings, shooting indiscriminately. But law-abiding citizens, yeah, they will walk around unarmed while criminal predators roam the streets, as always, with their illegally acquired firearms. The reason why I bring this up, because, there might be a couple of you out there who living in New Mexico. Hi, from Toronto, Canada. But why should the rest of us take notice? This rhetoric of public safety, right? Remember BLM riots, medical practitioners, thousands, signed petitions and statements saying racism is a public health emergency. Ergo, the rest of you locked down in your homes because COVID is a deadly threat. But if you want to burn down a neighborhood, turn a police station into rubble, go on, because it's a public health emergency. And the lockdowns. Remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve? And you were locked down for years. Schools closed with disastrous consequences. A public health emergency. This rhetoric and language is extremely dangerous, and these leftists have never respected the rule of law, constitutional restrictions on their power. 1933, Germany. There was a Reichstag fire. Hitler got legislation passed through Parliament called the Enabling Act. This allowed him to completely circumvent the rule of law and to enact legislation utterly under his control for 4 years. Gave him license to absolutely destroy Germany. Democracy in Germany died with that Enabling Act. And these people, time and time again, will use any excuse. Yes. And this governor, she swore an oath, to uphold the Constitution. She told reporters that, in emergencies, she has every right to override her oath of office. This is a sacred oath, a trust, a bond between her, the people, and the Constitution. And Trudeau, remember the truckers? He invoked the Emergencies Act. The Emergencies Act, you know who else invoked a state of emergency in and around that same time? Vladimir Zelensky, because his country was being invaded by an armed force, namely Russia, right? That's when you invoke a state of emergency. And it is supposed to be used in only the most dire circumstances and situations. Albuquerque, New Mexico, yes, some tragic shootings. A young man was killed, I think a young boy. Awful, but it hardly constitutes an emergency to the extent that you are willing to abridge the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of New Mexico. You can call in the legislature and to pass legislation. That's how this is done. Not invoke some state of emergency to rule as though you're some totalitarian dictator. No. So this is very dangerous. And I'm very happy to see the DA in the region No, he's not. He's not acting on it. The mayor of Albuquerque not having anything to do with it, and the chief police, absolutely. The police are busy fighting criminals. They're not going to start arresting honest citizens. But the important thing to note here is this could be on some unrelated issue, like, say, canceling hate speech, right? And then maybe the citizens of Albuquerque, who are strong advocates of constitutional protection over weapons, they might, who doesn't like hate speech? And it is kind of an emergency. Just like, the BLM rioters and doctors saying, racism, it's a public health emergency. No, it wasn't, and it isn't. It's a lie. And we have to be very careful. These leftists, they're not liberals, they're leftists. And they will seize every opportunity to steal your freedoms away from you. Just like the World Economic Forum types, right? Klaus Schwab. They want to turn you into government-dependent serfs. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Except your happiness is contingent upon you following their rules and their dictates. Every time these leftists try to seize your rights and your freedoms, you need to push back. Biden, in a rambling speech in Vietnam, dog-faced pony soldiers, climate, right? This is the latest hysteria that they will inevitably and inexorably try to seize your freedom. They're already doing it, trying to ban gas-powered stoves, ceiling fans, normal automobiles. It is awful. Absolutely nobody argued that COVID was an existential threat. Yes, there was plenty of hysteria, but nobody argued it was an existential threat. They are invoking an existential threat to seize control over your life, to dictate the food you eat, the car you drive, how warm or cold your house is. This is a very dangerous precedent, and I'm glad this governor of New Mexico showed her hands, because this stuff is coming for you. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you enjoyed the video, please do drop a thumbs up. And yes, please check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. And I had a wonderful email or text on the Facebook or the YouTube platform telling me what a wonderful book it was and how important it is. But please, spread the word. And if you haven't done so already, pick it up. I promise you, you'll be impressed. Thank you so much for your time and attention now. Bye-bye.